Hi everyone, it's Annalise. And first off, I just want to let you know I am still thinking about you. I know this is such an unusual topsy-turvy world right now. We're all not living lives that we normally were living before, and many of you are being asked to do double of what you were doing before. And I hear it for a lot of teachers who say they're working the hardest they ever have, because not only are you trying to provide the online learning to what you've done in your classroom, you also have families you're trying to take care of as well. So my husband and I, our kids are grown and gone and happily living in Madison, Wisconsin right now. We live in New Hampshire. And we, typical empty nesters, last summer decided to get a dog for the first time in our 30-year marriage. And he is adorable, Marty McFly. But he's driving us crazy because my husband and I are working from home and he wants attention. And so I can only imagine, honestly, what it must be like for those of you who are at home, the pressures of transitioning things to online environment, as well as dealing with the reality of what's happening in our world. And you've got children you're trying to take care of. So my heart goes out to you, and I certainly want to be a support to you. But I want to talk today a little bit about worksheets because now for myself, I'm a consultant. So I've been traveling around a lot, but I'm not traveling anymore because we're all locked down in our houses. And so I do happen to have the luxury of having some time on my hands. I mean, I work all the time, but I am doing able to do some professional learning for myself. And so in my consulting, when I work with teachers, there are a lot of things that I recommend, but I've also learned some new twists and things because I am still learning things. I always say all the time, there's nothing elementary about teaching elementary math. And so I just learn things from people every day. And so I've just been recently taking some workshops through BER. I'm a BER, Bureau of Education and Research presenter, and I had the honor of taking a couple recently, and I just love it. I used to learn more and more. Ryan Dutch I saw, and Amy Stark. I mean, just fabulous people. So I have morphing their ideas and my ideas. I want to touch base a little bit because I'm seeing a lot in the Facebook groups that I facilitate the idea of worksheets as if worksheets are a bad thing. Now, worksheets aren't a bad thing, but what are we asking the kids to do on the worksheet? Because I am opposed to any kind of time test for anyone ever. I just am. Just the research is there to show how it begins math anxiety, and I've worked with too many adults, and I've seen the mental anguish, and I'm not exaggerating, that has come from a lifetime of thinking that they're not a math person and not as smart as others. And it's totally not true. When we open our door to flexible ways and whatnot, it's not true. And I think that drill and kill worksheets can play a part into that math anxiety because it's just the easiest way for kids to hate math is just chucking out numbers and becoming calculators. And so I think there are better ways for us to go about it to build mathematical minds in the process of working on paper pencil. It's not a matter that the kids can't do paper pencil things, but there are some ways I think we can easily tweak them to make them a better experience for our kids. So first of all, if you have a worksheet and you want them to do some calculations to practice and keep their skills up, what if you broke that worksheet in half and asked them to solve each problem two different ways? So building the flexibility and showing it in a variety of ways. Now, if kids have been introduced to the algorithm, they can have all at it. They can do that algorithm that they're used to, but they got to show another way. That shows the understanding because any other way that they're going to be able to do will naturally include place value understanding. So the algorithms are efficient ways to get right answers, and that's necessary, but it's not sufficient. We want flexibility of thought. So think about cutting down the number of problems, but have the kids show it to you in two different ways to show their flexibility of thought. Another idea is error analysis is a huge thing. One of our math practices is to be able to critique the reasoning of others and their thinking. So maybe give them, let's say, 4 problems, but say, okay, I want you to make a mistake in one. I want you to intentionally make a mistake in one of your 4. If you can have them, if they're turning it into you, they could do a little writing on the back of which one they think they have wrong and what mistake that they made, because it also will bring out some unintentional mistakes. You'll see the one they thought was intentional, but maybe they made a mistake in the other ones as well. So rather than them doing a worksheet that has lots of problems and they can do all of them wrong, have them have that metacognition of, oh, I'm going to make a mistake on purpose, and here's why. And so, having them do that, or they could trade it in partners. Now, in an online environment, virtually, what you could do is you could have, let's say, 2 problems on the screen for the kids. One is done correctly, or even use the ones the kids made up themselves. So you give them an assignment one day, next day you put it up on the screen and say to them, okay, one of these is right and one of these is wrong, and then have them discuss with each other, which one was wrong and why, and try to error analyze that. Another thing too, if you look at the worksheet you're giving the kids, if there are ever directions that are just asking them to do a skill and give an answer, and the answer is right or wrong, we want to open it up a little bit. We want to be able to change it. So if I were to ask you a problem, if I were to ask you what 8 plus 9 is, or I ask my students, what's 8 plus 9? And they all tell me the answer is 17. And then I say, yep, that's good. We're going to move on to the next way. What if we said, prove it? Prove to me that 8 plus 9 is 17. It opens up a whole door. Now, I love manipulatives and hands-on things. In this time of virtual learning, we don't have that. But I saw an amazing webinar by Chrissy Newell on the power of virtual manipulatives. I think it was actually it was NCSM. I think it was NCSM uh, thing. The NCTM ones are free now, but the NCS one, I think, because I'm a member, I was able to see that. But in any case, she really laid out an argument for why virtual manipulatives are amazing. That they give a lot of the same benefits as concrete manipulatives, and they're also never running out. There's no management issues because it's on a screen, and that research has shown that kids sometimes get more engaged when it's on a screen like that. So interesting. I'm not saying that's the only way we should do it, but just open up our minds like, oh, that would be not a bad thing to have kids to use virtual manipulatives. The Math Learning Center has math learning apps that are phenomenal. You've got Rec and Recs, you've got 10 frames, you've got number lines, pattern blocks, a lot of the manipulatives that you want, and it's a free site. But have the kids prove it to them, prove it to you. So they might solve a computational problem. So again, cut the problems in half or cut them, only have 5 problems. But the children need to show you with a picture of what they did on a virtual math site with virtual manipulatives, 2 different ways to show their answer. And it could be with equations, it could be with writing or drawing pictures, but again, showing 2 different ways to show that answer. And they're seeing it in a visual way, but it's proving it to you. It's not just what is the answer. Yes, you got it right. It's like, prove it. How could you explain to me? I say that to my students all the time. Whenever I'm traveling and working in schools, every time a child gives me an answer, I'm saying, prove it. Because I want to have that discussion, that rich discussion, that to see their thinking. Also, what if you cut your worksheet in half? And in the bottom, say to them, what did you learn from these problems? Leave it open-ended. Have them do some writing with mathematics and metacognition about what were they thinking about and what did they learn? Did they benefit from that? Because if they're doing a worksheet where they didn't benefit from it and they didn't learn anything from it, we want to be careful about what worksheets we're giving our kids. So another thing is also the worksheets we're giving our kids. If we're giving them kill and drill worksheets, I do see this a lot, and I am not judging anyone. I totally understand in this world of trying to deal with the incredible situation of our world right now, and we're all in lockdown. You need to get the kids, and your responsibility as a teacher. I've heard from teachers who have to give a packet for 3 weeks, and they don't do anything online for those 3 weeks, and other teachers who need to be online every day, 8:30 to 3. Plus, they have their own families. So I'm not judging anybody who wants to just go to a site, put out a worksheet, give a packet, and then deal with life and the realities of what's coming and happening right now. But there are some places we can go to get worksheets that are better for our kids and not just kill and drill of like math facts or kill and drill. I mean, I'm much more a proponent of playing games anyway with math facts, with fluency. But I want to show you a couple of places you can go to get some really good thinking worksheets for the kids that will get them really thinking and thinking deeper about the mathematics that they're doing. So let me just show you that. So the first thing I want to show you is gregtangmath.com. It is just a phenomenal set of free resources. There are things you can purchase here as well, but the majority of things are free, and they are just the best of the best. So first of all, there are all of his math books online available, no cost. You can read these books as a read aloud with your kids. Just fantastic. I love his word problem generator to be able to really focus in on where the unknown is, as well as what number range I want to use. And it just generates me a certain problem type, so I can be in control of that for my kids when I find out where they are. So I love that as well. But in terms of the worksheets we're giving our kids, if you go to his site and at the very top, you click on resources. I had to give my email, but then once I did that, it unlocks all of these. And you're given worksheets and games and things that are just really good thinking games. So I highly encourage, I particularly love for fluency, the Kakuma game. It really makes you think about lots of math facts as you are working on that game. So that's one thing that you can look at the site and see how it's encouraging strategic thinking that we want to do with our kiddos, moving them beyond counting phases. Now, the other major, unbelievable source is this by Fawn Wynn. So Fawn Wynn is someone that I follow on Twitter, and she shared these resources, kindergarten through eighth grade, of problems for the kids to work on. So when you think about a worksheet for your kids, let's take a look at this. I uploaded the grade 2 one. So here's in week 1. You got things like this. You're seeing the tally marks there and keep answering questions on that graph. But you have problems like this. Open middle is one of my favorite things I recommend in all my consulting work because it changes the activity to be so much more powerful. If I were to ask you, if I think about our grade 2 standard of being able to fluently add two-digit numbers, right? If I asked you to give kids that, how would you assess how they could do it? You might give them 10 problems of two-digit numbers and see if they got the right answer. Okay. This could be, okay, here you have these boxes. I want you to create two-digit numbers using the digits 1 through 9. That's the closest to 100. It changes everything. The kids are doing double-digit addition, but in the context of this open middle environment. This is by Robert Kaplinski. He's got a whole site full of these with kindergarten, I think, through high school. He also has a book on from middle school and high school examples, but the philosophy is the same. So Fawn has incorporated this amazing activity within her things as well. So it's the best of the best. This is just so different than printing out a worksheet that has 100 problems. This is the math reasoning that the kids doing. We want them thinking, and this is for kindergarten through eighth grade. So as we think about creating packets and worksheets for our kiddos, we can tweak them in slight ways that make them much more engaging and really can encourage the 8 math practices. The idea is about explaining our thinking, using models and tools to prove our thinking, critiquing the reasoning of others, and like the Fawn Win document, that's just phenomenal. Those are the kind of things we want our kids to be engaged in all the time. So I want to be a support to you during this crazy, crazy time. So please feel free to reach out at any point. My email is aer@annaliserecord.com, and honestly, feel free to reach out at any point. I'm also on Facebook. You can follow me with my name with a growth mindset logo. And I facilitate my own group, Elementary Math with Annalise, as well as the Math Running Record group. And I facilitate for Christina Tondevold. I'm one of her facilitators in her Build Math Minds Facebook group. So hopefully I'll see you online. Have a great day.